What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the podcast. My name is Zeke.
And I'm Gabe.
And we're just two dudes from church. I'm on the down slow, but I have just enough energy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning into the podcast. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you like the video or any of our videos. Also consider sharing it with a friend, family member. We have a link in the description. We are on all platforms, social media, including TikTok. We have a link to our merch, so go check us out.
Yeah.
That being said, today what we want to talk about, and we hear this time and time again in the church, and we hear it in the prayers, and it's like keywords, and I love using keywords, and that's expanding our territory, or expanding your territory. And we were looking across the scripture, and we came across, right, the book of First of Chronicles, and in this chapter, it's chapter 4. If you want to look it up on your own time,
you know.
If you know, you know. Now, the chapter does start off because it's talking about, half of the chapter is kind of talking about the line of Judah. So there's a lot of weird names in there, but there's a lot of weird names and some genealogy, like this person was married to this person. But it comes to a point in verse 9 and 10, and in your own time you can read it. Where it talks about a man called Jabez, right? And I'm going to read real quick verses 9 and 10, and we'll go a little bit more into dissecting what it says. So it says in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 9, it says, Jabez was more honored than his brothers. His mother had named him Jabez, saying, I bore him in pain. I'll leave it like that. Jabez called upon the Elohim of Israel and said this, if only you would greatly bless me and increase my territory. May your power go with me to keep me from trouble, so as not to cause me pain. And Yahweh granted his request. So it's very short. It's just those two verses, but it kind of sticks out, Gabe, because you see all these names, and then it just goes into, in 2 verses, it tells you so much is going on in this story in just those 2 verses.
Yeah, I mean, every time I read these verses, it baffles me how you can pack in so much.
Yeah, in just 2 verses.
In 2 verses, right? And that's kind of the conversation we wanted to have is like, you can take this so many different ways. And, the way that it hits me is the way I'm going to share with you guys, because again, that's the whole point. We have these talks is we all think differently. We all have different opinions. We all have different ways and different views, and that's kind of what we want to share with you guys. It's just maybe you can see it in a different light or in a different way that maybe you never experienced. Yeah. And for me, this prayer has always been so powerful in my life. Number one, because my mom instilled it to me when she was young, because my mom loves this prayer. So I've known this prayer for quite a long time growing up, even though I never understood it until you get older. And again, you start to experience things and you start to be like, man, there's a lot going on, like we said. But I think a couple points that I want to point out, and same thing, we want to see how you took it or how you feel and your view on it. And I think number one, it starts off kind of with up and down. Yeah. Right. It starts off up and down because it starts off, that he was more favored than all his siblings, all his brothers.
Oh, that's cool.
But yet at the same time, the name he was given was because it was a painful situation. So
bore you in pain.
So that's and I've learned how important it is when we name a child. Yeah,
it's very important.
The implications that come past that, because yes, you can name a child that means certain things, and we're not saying it always happens, but you can prophesy certain things in their lives. And so now he's starting off kind of in the back with that, because like you said, now you're living a life knowing your name, because it's just pain means pain. And
and they took that serious back then. If your name meant pain, it's like, Oh, you cause your mother pain.
Yeah.
You cause everything. Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
So again, so you guys can see the whole picture here of where he's at. But something that he says here, and again, we looked in different versions because there's different translations of the Bible, but we want to focus on in most of them, in the majority of them, there's always still keywords. They might be different keywords, but there's still keywords that we're looking for. So the main part here is he says, if you would greatly bless me and increase my territory. In some versions that I read, it's, will you bless me indeed?
Indeed.
Right? He could have just said, bless me. I'll take a blessing, right? Give me a blessing. I'll take a blessing, right? But he was very bold and very specific, right? And I've learned this, when you're learning as kids and we teach them what's the meaning of an exclamation point. It's to put emphasis on something, correct? For me, that's what Jabez is doing here. He's putting emphasis because he's not saying I want a normal blessing. He's saying I need something bigger than the blessing that maybe you thought of, right? I want something more. Like you bless me indeed, greatly bless me, right? It's a different kind of blessing he's asking for. And then he goes, and then expand my territory. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean?
You need room for the blessing.
Okay.
You need room for the blessing.
Yeah.
You got to make room for it. Like, listen, the blessing that y'all was going to give me, I can't fit here. I need to expand the borders of, here's how I think about it, right? And, this is my interpretation when I read this, right? Is that back then, life was different back then, right?
Correct.
And a blessing maybe for us could be something like financial, like a job, a house,
healing, or
anything, right? And those times, when somebody was blessed, it's different. It was different than how we see it now.
Correct.
This person has cattle. This person has a homestead. He has a farm. He has literal territory. He has land. So I think of it like that. Like, I want you to bless me so much, but also expand my territory so that I can fit it into what it is. But it's incredible that in 2 verses so much is going on, because the one thing I picked up, right, and this is, your version might say something different, but in the beginning of verse 10 it says Jabez called on the Elohim of Israel. So you start to think, like, he called upon the Elohim of Israel. So it leads me to believe that maybe where he was at, other people worship other Elohims or other gods. And he said, you know what? I'm going to call upon Yahweh.
Come on.
I'm going to call upon the Elohim of Israel. But he says, after he said that, he goes, may your power go with me to keep me from trouble. So I feel as though Jabez was saying, bless me, increase my territory, let your power, let it be for your glory. Like, it's bad enough that my name means pain. Like, I don't want to be a pain in the neck to anybody. I don't want to be that sore, but it's like, but if I call upon you, you bless me and you increase my territory, it's going to be all for the glory of you.
And then you could even take it the other way, going, when you read that, and he says he is calling out to the Elohim of Israel. So you can also look at it as maybe his relationship wasn't that great with him, because sometimes what happens is with us is we think our relationship has to be like this. We have to be tight. We got to be boys, right? For us to be so bold in a prayer. And that's not how it always works. All he asks for is belief in what you ask for. If we believe it with conviction, knowing, like he said, and it's powerful because he says, may your power go with me. So now what is he doing? He's giving it all to him, right? He's saying, I can't do it with my power. I'm giving it all back to you. I want your power. That's why for me, I like the way you think of it or how you take it, because for me, when I hear him say, expand my territory, then going to that verse 10, where he goes, and your power be with me. For me, I take it as he's asking for, yes, when we get blessed, we want more room for growth, more room to receive. But there comes a time where sometimes we think we're the ones that move the needle. And I think sometimes we think we have the power to make things happen in life. So when I read this, or every time that I read this, I try to picture myself as I'm saying this. And maybe this is just a me thing. It could be, right? Maybe it's just, it's a season I'm in and this is how I'm thinking. When I think of me saying those words, expand my territory, I'm pretty much saying that I want you to expand my territory the way you want to expand it. Not the way I envision it, not the way that I want it, not the way that I think it should be that way. No, because now he's saying that your power may be with. So now I'm saying I'm giving it all to you. You expand it however you want, because at the end of the day, we got to understand he knows what he has for you. He knows he has something because he wants to bless every one of us in a special way, right? So he has something special for us. And what happens is we want to start moving things and expanding things in different ways in different areas that we shouldn't be going in. When at the same time, when we say those words, we go, you know what, Father, you expand it however you want. The blessings that you have for me, you give it to me in your time and your purpose and your way that I can receive it. And yes, now I have the room to be able to move around and receive those blessings. That's how I kind of picture it and see it that way.
Bro, and it's crazy how when you keep reading it, like just more, you get fed more. It's like, 2 verses, you got a whole book. But I find it humbling too that he would say, bless me greatly, expand my territory, let your power be with me. I also see it in a way where he's like, Yahweh, bless me, expand my territory, but without your power, I don't want all that, because sometimes the Father will give you all this stuff and then it's like, oh, I got everything now. I don't need you.
We forget.
It's like, nah. I want all those things you have for me, but I want you to be the center of it. I want you, because he says, your power to go with me to keep me from trouble so as not to cause me pain. So it's like he recognizes, he was like, I want you to give it to me, but I want you to be with me. I want your power to go. I want you to be in the mix.
That's why we can't have conversations, because then you keep reading it and it's like, just the fact that you read that sentence there is like, he gave me something else. And it's crazy because, even we've talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it before, but we've heard it, generational curses. And like we said, he started off on the wrong side of things when his name was mentioned pain. Yeah. So he specifically at the end say, so that I get away, like he wants to break, right? He wants to break that curse. He wants to break what's been put on his life and stamped on his life from the get-go, saying, I need your power now so that what my name was given me, we can forget it and you can have, and your glory can be seen in me, right? So it's crazy because we look at in life and even in generational curses, even in things that get passed down from generation to generation, comes a point in time where we have the power to stop it, where we have the power to say enough is enough, right? Now we allow, and we're going to change our environment. We're going to change our mindset. We're going to change everything that we know. Because again, sometimes people can't help it because you're just born and raised. That's what you're taught, and then it goes generation to generation. That's what a generational curse is. But there comes a point in time where we go, enough. Father, I need you to intervene now. I need you to stop. Even though this started from the beginning, I made a decision. And for me, when you read that, it's like he's making a decision saying, I need your power now. I need your glory now. And I need you to expand it the way you need to expand it. Which is crazy.
Bro, the name. Check this out.
Oh, man, here we go.
The name, right? He prayed to the Elohim of Israel. He prayed to Yahweh, made the prayer, right? Once he made that and Yahweh granted it to him, doesn't the scriptures talk about that he will give us a new name? It's just, listen, that's the wonderful thing about the scriptures, that you can read something over and over again. And this is, I love doing this. It's something that he's expanding our territory. He's expanding our minds, right? Speaking about territory, we were also talking about the story of when Yahweh took his people out, and he told Moses that he promised them a land of milk and honey. Yeah. Like you said before, Yahweh wants to bless us. Yahweh wants to expand our territory. He's saying, listen, I have this for you.
It's prepared already.
It's prepared. But what happens when they sent spies to survey the land? There were spies that said, there's people there. They're surveying the land. And I don't know how we're gonna do this. But there was a few that was said, nah. If Yahweh said that's ours, sometimes we're gonna have to fight it. But He promised it to us. Yahweh has given us the blessing. Yahweh has given us the victory. And sometimes, though we might have to fight through it, He gives us the strategy to conquer that. And it's incredible to see the process of how they managed to gain that land that flows with milk and honey, because what Yahweh gives is good. Even at the beginning, when Yahweh said, let there be light, when Yahweh created this, when He created that, He said, and it was good, and it was good. Everything that He does is good.
Amen.
It's just good. And it's incredible when I read stories like this that you haven't read in a while, and then you start reading it, and it's just a flood of, it is incredible.
And this has turned out to be one of my favorite ones we've done this episode, because
I love this.
You going into that now, as crazy as it is, because I was just studying that recently, that whole history. And again, we're talking about expanding territories. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of us are stopping Him from expanding that territory. And it's crazy. Do you know how long it took Israel to get to the promised land? Like, how long were they in the desert?
A long time. Very, very long time.
40 years, I think it was, right?
Yeah, that's a long time.
Do you know how many days or how many years it would have took them just to walk to the promised land?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it might have been a couple days.
It's 11 days.
11 days.
From where they were at to get to the promised land. 11 days. And it took them 40 years. And that's what happens to a lot of us, is the destination is not long, but we're prolonging it because of the things we're not willing to let go. And like there, we see the people of Israel, when they were lost in the desert for 40 years, it's because they still were not letting things go. They were still doing the incorrect in His eyes, but yet saying, where you at? Where's my blessing that you promised me? But still not letting things go. So it happens, we pray this prayer that expand my territory, may you bless me, but we're not believing it because we're not deciding to make a change in our lives. And that's where it starts. If you want to receive this kind of blessing that Jabez is praying, it's not just a normal blessing. You got to start to convert your heart and convert your mind. You got to start to change your perspective, the way you do things, because what you're about to receive is something greater than you've ever experienced. And the people of Israel were not ready to receive that. And if you knew that, it's crazy. We talked about that. I was just studying this. Moses and Yahweh's relationship was like this.
Yeah.
They were boys, right? Moses went to Him for everything. It says He went before Him, and he would go in prayer and have conversations. This is the one time in the Bible, one of the few times in the Bible, that you see Moses did not go before Him, because the people were so hostile and were so getting aggravated that there was the promised land. So it says that there was 12 tribes, and they came together and they made a decision. Hey, Moses, I think it's smart if we send some people to do some recon, so we know what we're combating. And Moses he said, you know what? That's a good idea. So we'll take one person of each tribe, and they'll go recon. And again, if you look at Moses, as crazy as it is, everything Moses did was always, he had the benefit of that because he wanted to do good.
Yeah.
He never intentionally did something for bad. But every time Moses did something because he wanted to make a decision, it did not turn out good. Because all this situation did was, when the spies came back, 10 of them had bad news, 2 of them didn't. And all that did was put more doubt, more fear into the people. Because now they were like, we're not beating those guys over there. They're giants. Right? There's no way we can win, even though our Heavenly Father told them that land belongs to you. That's yours. That belongs to you. They still have doubt. And that's what happens in life. It's like, He tells us that blessing's right there in the corner. All you got to do is walk around the corner. And sometimes we want to go this street, go that street. Oh no, it's shorter this way. It's quicker this way, because we think we know it all. we prolong the blessing. We prolong our territories to be able to expand. And that's the crazy part. So when you brought that up, I was like, man, I was just studying that. And it's crazy because we think about it, like 40 years, 11 days to 40 years.
I'll take the 11 days. I'll take the 11 days.
Anybody would he's like, I got a blessing. You're going to get it in a week. 20 years. Like
20 years?
That's because,
you said a week.
And that's what I'm saying. So sometimes it's like, he wants to bless us. He wants to give you everything you're asking for. But there's still stuff in your heart that is still holding you back from receiving, or there's stuff in your heart that is not pleasing before him. And we have to understand that, none of us are perfect. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes every single day. But as long for me, as I'm trying my best to be better every day, my best to be good, my best to be a light, my best to be as positive as I can in a world that's so negative nowadays, right? That's all I can do is put my best effort.
Yeah. I was thinking about, right, the term expanding our territory, right? And I was talking to my wife about this, right, on our commute back home, and we were trying to dissect the word, okay, expanding. Think of other words, increasing. Yeah. And I would tell my wife, babe, but how does one increase their territory like now, in physical? Because we think very physical. Yeah. Let's be honest. We think in the physical and they're spiritual, right? And and my wife, and her wisdom, is in the spiritual, he'll start adding gifts, start adding talent, and he's increasing that territory in the spiritual. In the physical, you were talking about generations, right? Think about your grandparents, your great grandparents, how they were pastors, preachers, musicians, singers, and how it goes down to your father, how it goes down to you, how it goes down to your kids, and how it's going to go down to your grandkids. And that in itself,
one thing about that,
I know, but in hindsight, you think Yahweh has expanded through your family, is expanding that, all for the glory and honor of Yahweh. You see that through generations, you have pastors, preachers, all what? Doing Yahweh's will. All for the glory of Yahweh. And when my wife said that, I was like, I'm about to put you on the episode, girl. But you start to think, and I told my wife, I'm like, how can Yahweh increase that territory? And when she broke it down like that, I'm like, wow. I immediately thought, like, you start thinking like, oh, he's gonna give me a bigger house, or he's gonna give me a.
Those are ways it can be expanded, but I think you're thinking, she was. I like the way she was thinking, because that was a way. We think of cars, we think of new job, we think more money. That's how we think, physically sometimes. But I think even expanding territories, even when we start seeing miracles happen, when we start seeing different changes, like I said, he works in mysterious ways. We've heard that so many times. And sometimes he's answering prayers right in front of our face, and we don't even know it. We're not noticing it because we're not at a position in our life right now to be able to notice those things. And we go, he ain't with us. He's not blessing us, even though, like you said, it's right in front of your face.
Like, he blessing you, you don't even know it.
We're not in a position, and we're not in a season in our life right now that we're ready to understand what's happening in front of us. And that's another thing.
Preach, Gabe.
That's another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy because
it would just keep going.
Like, sometimes, like I said, it's happening for us. It's happening, even though there's so much negative happening in this world, there's so much positive also happening, but the negative is going to so much outweigh those positive and the good. And there's good people in this world, and there's people that really truly have your best interest in mind. And sometimes because of the evil, because of the bad, a lot of us start to lock up, and a lot of us hold back and aren't enjoying the life that we've been privileged to have. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Tomorrow, and that's one thing that I try to live by, is like, don't hold tomorrow what we can do today. We have the strength, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how in shape you are. Things can happen. You don't have the decision, and you don't make that final word when your last day is written down. We don't know.
That's true. And that's funny you said that, because right before you showed up, I saw a video, and there were two gentlemen talking, and the gentleman said, if I gave you $10 million right now, would you take it? And the guy's like, yeah, I would take it. It's like, but what if I told you, I give you the $10 million, but tomorrow you won't wake up? Would you still take it? And he goes, no, I wouldn't take it. He goes, so you're basically telling me that waking up tomorrow is worth more than $10 million. He's like, yeah. So tomorrow, wake up with a smile on your face.
Look at that.
Wake up with a smile on your face. It's worth it. Yahweh blesses us each and every day. And my prayer for us, for the podcast, for you guys watching at home, that he can bless us abundantly, greatly bless us, and expand our territory, but all for the glory and honor of him. So, guys, we want to thank you again for watching the episode. If you found the video of encouragement, again, don't be scared. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. Subscribe. Hit that like button. Don't forget to check us out on social media and get some merch, guys. We love you guys. We're going to continue to pray for you guys. We hope that you're praying for us. We love you. And again, my name is Zeke.
And I'm Gabe.
And we're just two dudes from church.